Sellers want the highest price, buyers want the lowest price, and most people think the two goals are at war with each other. But after closing over 600 transactions, as a business broker, I can tell you something that might surprise you. When a deal is set up right, the two goals are really aligned perfectly. They actually help each other. And by the end of this video, you're going to know the 6 things that drive what a business is actually worth. So, whether you were looking at buying or selling, you're really looking at the same scoreboard. My name is Trent Lee. I'm the #1 business broker in the country. I've closed over 600 transactions, and I've watched businesses sell for life-changing amounts of money, and I've watched businesses sit on the sidelines and sit on the market, never to sell at all. I make these videos so you don't have to learn the expensive way. I see what works, I see what fails, and I see what quietly costs people thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars even sometimes after the deal closes. In this one, what we're going to talk about today is one of the most important lessons I can give you. Let me set the stage here. There's a lot of noise out there about selling businesses for $50 million, $100 million. These stories are fun to hear. They give you something to aim for, but the reality is 99% of businesses in all these transactions are not going to sell for anywhere near that amount of money. Probably $5 million in revenue or less is where most small Main Street businesses are at. This is the world I live in. This is probably the world you are going to live in too if you're looking at buying your first business. Rather than trying to buy a $50 million company, it's likely going to be funded by the SBA, under $5 million transaction. So everything I'm going to walk you through today applies directly to your situation. You don't need to be running a giant company for this to matter. In fact, it matters more when you're small because the margin for error is thinner. So here's the framework I want you to remember. I call it the value scoreboard. There are 6 things on it. Get most of them right, and your business is worth real money. Miss a few of them, and you might not even be able to sell it at all. And the beautiful thing about this is it works for both sides, buyer and seller. So if you are a seller, this is your exit plan. If you're a buyer, this is your checklist before you make an offer. Let me walk you through all 6. Number 1, earnings. This is a big one. This is what puts you in the ballpark. A business earning $100,000 a year lives in a completely different world than a business earning $1 million a year. The earnings will tell you which buyers are even going to look at the deal, what kind of financing is available, and what kind of multiple you can expect. Think of it like baseball stadium. A business with $200,000 in earnings is playing for the minor leagues. That's not an insult, it's just a different field with different rules. A business with $2 million in earnings is now in the major league stadium. Different buyers, different capital, different prices. The earnings decide which stadium you play in. And here's the part most people miss. A lot of sellers come to me and say their business is worth a certain number, and they're basing everything on revenue. Revenue does not pay the bills after you buy a business. Earnings do. Bottom line, cash that the real owner gets to pay themselves real wages or what's left over after they pay all the expense. That's what buyers are paying for, and that's what lenders are underwriting. So if your earnings are thin, it doesn't matter how impressive your top line revenue looks. Earnings are what matter. Bottom line net profit is what really matters. Number 2, growth. This is what determines where you land inside the ballpark. If your business is growing at 20% or more over a year, you're going to get a premium multiple. If your business is flat, you're going to get an average multiple. And if your business is declining, let's just slow that down, meaning you're actually going backwards year over year, then you're in trouble. Buyers look at a declining business the same way you would look at a car rolling backwards on a hill with nobody in the driver's seat. Do you want to catch it? Do you want to stop in front of that and try and stop that car? Probably not. I see this pattern with sellers all the time. Business was growing at 80% in a year in the early days, and then it slowed to 50%, and then 30, and then 15, and now it's barely moving at all. A seller looks at the business and thinks it's still worth what it was 3 years ago because the revenue is similar. But the growth tells a completely different story. And buyers are buying the future. They're not buying the past. Yes, they're underwriting and they're using the past, but they're forecasting the future. And here is the deal filter on growth. If your business is not growing at least 10 to 20% a year, either organically or through some sort of intentional marketing effort, paid efforts, whatever it happens to be, you need to start thinking about that right now, not when you want to sell it. Right now, years before it's time to sell. Because the time you list it, that trend line is already baked into the numbers. Number 3, risk. Every business has risk, but the ones that sell for top dollars are the ones that worked to reduce that risk. And when I say risk, things like customer concentration, for example. If one customer makes up 20% or more of your overall revenue, that's a risk. If that customer leaves, the business loses a significant amount of its income overnight. Buyers see that and either walk away or they drop their offers significantly to offset the risk they're taking on. Same thing goes with channel risk. For example, if all of your revenue comes from one source, one platform, one referral partner, that's a risk. If that source dries up, everything stops. And then there's product risk. If you only sell one thing and the market shifts, where does that leave you? Here's the part that separates first-time sellers from experienced ones. Experienced sellers spend years reducing these risks before they even list the business for sale. They spread their customer base out. They add revenue channels. They diversify the product line. And by that time they're ready to sell, the risk profile is clean. The business feels stable and buyers are willing to pay more for stability. All right, number 4, documentation. This one's boring, I get it. No one gets excited about standard operating procedures, for example. But let me tell you what I've seen happen in real deals. A seller tells me that the business makes an extra $150,000 a year in cash. People pay in cash still in this economy. They might be telling the truth, but there's no documentation, no paper trail, no proof. It didn't hit the tax returns. And my advice every single time is the same. If it's not documented, in this case, the cash, we're not paying for it. We're not putting it into the valuation. I'm not going to give a multiple on money that you can't prove exists on the tax returns. This is where deals begin to break. I can't tell you how many times I've sat across the table from a seller who swears the real numbers are higher than what the tax returns show. And maybe they are. But if your internal books do not match your tax returns, if your expenses are mixed with another business, if your processes are all in your head and nowhere on paper, you just made the business harder to sell and worth less money. So here's what I tell sellers. Get your documentation tight, at least 2 years before you want to sell. Clean books, written procedures, financial statements that match the tax returns. And imagine all of the income actually being reported on the tax return so you can prove it. That goes a long way. All right, number 5, transferability. This one is the one that catches most sellers off guard. You built the business, you run it, you're the reason it works, and that's exactly the problem. If the business can't run without you, it's not really a business a buyer can buy. It's a job that you're purchasing, and nobody wants to buy a job for a premium price. I had a situation once not too different from, honestly, a lot of the same situation owners face. It's a professional with specialized knowledge, and the whole business ran through them. Every client relationship, every key decision, every piece of expertise lived in their brain and in their experience, their background, their training. And when they want to sell it, the pool of buyers was tiny because the only people that commit were the other professionals in the exact same field. And when they wanted a massive discount because they already knew the transition risk was high, I had to agree with them, honestly. So here is what transferability really means. Can someone step into the business and keep it running without the seller being there? If the answer is no, then you've got work to do. That might mean hiring a manager. It might mean training your team to handle things that you currently do yourself. It might mean stepping back to 20 hours a week and proving that the business can still perform without you being there all the time. That costs money in the short term, and it might even lower your earnings temporarily, but it increases what the business is worth by a lot more than what you gave up in the short term. Finally, last one, number 6, growth opportunities. This is different from the historical growth that we already talked about. This is what is left on the table. Is there still meat on the bone? Can a new owner come in and take this business further, or has it already peaked? Here's what I find interesting about this one. Most businesses under $5 million still have a ton of room to grow. The seller started something, they built it, and eventually they ran out of gas or ideas or motivation, or maybe they just hit their limit on their skill set. That's not a bad thing. That's just the natural cycle of ownership. But it's actually a good thing for the buyers because it means there is upside. There's somewhere to go, and buyers love the upside. The businesses that are the hardest to sell are the ones where growth has already clearly maxed out. The market is saturated, the product has run its course, and there's really no clear path to the next level of growth. Those deals sit. So let me tie this all together. Whether you're buying or selling, these 6 things are your scoreboard: earnings, growth, risk, documentation, transferability, and growth opportunities. If you are a seller, this is your exit plans. This is what you need to focus on. Work on those 6 things for 2 to 3 years before you list, and you'll be shocked at the difference it makes. If you're a buyer, this is your due diligence checklist. Before you make an offer, run the business through these 6 filters. If most of them check out, you're probably looking at a solid deal. If several of them are missing, you're either negotiating the price down or walking away. And here's the part that makes both sides happy. When a seller has done the work on all 6 of these, the buyer sells faster and it sells for more money. And the buyer feels confident in paying that price because they can see the value is real. Most buyers, I find, are fairly honest and want to pay a good, honest price for a business that's reflective based on the risk and the growth and all the 6 things we've talked about. So if you're thinking about buying or selling a business and want to go deeper on this stuff, I have a free school community with over 30 hours of step-by-step education. It covers how to find, analyze, and buy a small business. It's completely free to join. So if this video helped you, feel free to subscribe or share it with anyone else. And if you'd like to join the community, it should be in the description below. Thanks. Take care.